A warm welcome to everyone who just joined us. Welcome to Wheel of Wisdom, a place where the right message finds you. My name is Anisha, and we are going to spin the Wheel of Wisdom to see what is the book that the universe wants to send our way. So, my dear ones, this is our wheel of wisdom. And for those who are new, this wheel contains the name of 50 plus books that I have read over the past 10 years. And now we are going to spin this wheel. And before we do that, we are going to take a moment and ask ourselves, what do I need guidance on today? See if something specific emerges for you. And if nothing does, you can just hold this wish that may everyone listening to this receives the message that is, for the highest good. And till you do that, let me read the comments. Caitlin says, hi, made it. So happy to have you here, Caitlin, on our usual time. And I'm glad that you could make it. It's always nice to have you here. Frank says, I'm starting um, my day here after a good night's sleep. So the timing is a bit funny for a sleep meditation, but it was very calming. Yeah, I know like some of you guys do it on early mornings. So yeah, I appreciate you still giving this a try. And yeah, you can use this, like a little break, like a little nap time, relaxation for your mind and your body. Because even if we, wake up after a very good night's sleep, even after like half an hour after it, if you just check in with your body, you might notice that some of your muscles, tighten on their own, like your muscles in your head or your shoulders. So you can use this like as a quick nap, or you can use it in the night, after it gets released, if you found this calming. And I'm glad that, this brought some calm to you as you start your morning today. I hope that you have a beautiful day today, Frank. So thank you for sharing this with all of us. And maybe next time I will do a morning practice. Sarah says namaste. Namaste, Sarah. Welcome to the space. So you are just in time. We were just about to spin the wheel of wisdom. So holding in your heart and your mind, whatever it is you need guidance on, or that beautiful wish, as we spin the wheel. Okay. Huh. A beautiful pair with today's meditation. So the book that came up is Stillness Speaks by Eckhart Tolle. Hi Alexis, welcome. Namaste. So welcome to the space, and let's see what wants to come through from our first book, which is Stillness Speaks. So give me a second to open the book. The universe is sending a lot of stillness and calm our way. I think that is a beautiful energy that we all can use, right? So, this is the book cover. So, this is like the cover in the back. And now let me choose some numbers so that we can play a game together. Mhm, 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 mhm. Okay. I went all caps. Anyways, so the instructions for this game, for those of you who are new, is that in a moment I'm going to share with you guys two numbers between which I want you guys to choose. So see what number comes up first in your head, share it in the comments. I will go through all your comments and pick the number that my intuition is feeling called to. And then I will open that page number and read the highlighted text from that. Because as I was reading, I highlighted certain like insightful paragraphs or transformative exercises. So the numbers between which I want you to choose are 9 to 70. Here you go. Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Alexis. Thank you, Tina. David says, I'm just dropping to say hi. Today I'm not able to join you properly at the moment, so I will have to watch the recording. That's all right. I so appreciate you being here and saying hi to all of us. Hi, David. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed the recording. Let me know how you find it when you watch it. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Kesha. And if I mispronounce anyone's name, feel free to correct me. Okay. Anyone else who wants to share a number before I pick one? Mhm. Okay, let's go with the numbers that are here then. Mhm. I'm feeling confused with two numbers that are pretty close by. Okay, let's go with page number 47, chosen by Keisha for all of us. Thank you, dear. Okay, so page number 47. Hmm. Okay. So the author says the message is the plant that you have in your home. Have you ever truly looked at it? Have you allowed that familiar yet mysterious being we call plant to teach you its secrets? Have you noticed how deeply peaceful it is? How it is surrounded by a field of stillness. The moment you become aware of a plant emanation of stillness and peace, that plant becomes your teacher. Watch an animal, a flower, a tree, and see how it rests in being. It is itself. It has enormous dignity, innocence, and holiness. However, for you to see that, You need to go beyond the mental habit of naming and labeling. The moment you look beyond mental labels, you feel that ineffable dimension of nature that cannot be understood by thought or perceived through senses. It is a harmony, a sacredness that permeates not only the whole of nature but is also within you. So, this was our beautiful reading for today for you, Keisha, and for anyone else whose heart, these words landed in. And you know what the author shared that in order to truly experience what the author is talking about, we need to go beyond the mental labels, the naming, and meet the existence itself, meet the isness of it, like like for example, when you take a moment to listen the sounds that are around you, and instead of naming what the sound is of, like a car horn or a bottle opening, whatever it is, dropping those labels and experiencing what being able to listen to the sound feels like, what the sound existing feels like the loudness of it, like the what do we call it, like the pitch of it, the length of it, where it begins and where it ends, the pause between it. So like what being here experiencing this, you know is like. So dropping the label and being with it fully, and that's how you connect with that holiness, innocence, stillness, all of that object, especially if you're doing it with nature or a living being like another animal. Kesha says, wonderful. I'm glad that it resonated with you. And sometimes what I do is that when I need some stillness, I just go to a plant, especially like on my terrace, and I just hold its, I take a moment and see if it feels like I'm okay touching that plant, you know, and then not logically, but just like, the energy, like, can I touch it? Can I not? And then I hold like the what do we call it, the trunk part of it, because I have like tiny plants, so I can hold it in my hand. So I hold it, and in a moment I just start to feel that stillness settling in my body. And that is like one of the fastest and like a beautiful way to regulate and to also feel connected, and just everything just drops away. So maybe give it a try next time if you feel called. and And if you want to, experience more things like this, like if you want a more, more guidance on this, like how to drop the mental labels and the naming, then I did create a resource around it. Yeah. So the name of the resource was this: The Art of Noticing How to Find Joy, Peace, and Beauty in Your Daily Life. So the point of it was that only, just experiencing the regular daily life things in a more mysterious, magical way, seeing the peace, the beauty, you know, that they have to offer to you. So, yeah, if you feel the need for some guidance, then you can try it. You can check it out. If not, ignore it. So that was our first reading for today. And if anyone, feels called to share anything around this, including Keisha and everyone, you can do that in the comments. And until you do that, let me spin the wheel again. And let's see what is the second book that wants to come up today. So, the book that came up is Living with Your Heart Wide Open by Steve Flowers and Bob Stahl. A lot of flowers and plants coming our way. So, let's learn how to live with our hearts wide open. Isn't it a wonderful way to live? So, this is our book, and it says how mindfulness and compassion can free you from unworthiness, inadequacy, and shame. So, again, okay, we got again a flower and an animal. Interesting. Okay, so let me choose some numbers so that we can play a game together. Mhm. So, my dear ones, I invite you guys to pick a number between 20 to 177. Here you go. Again, no rush, take your time. See what number pops up first in your head, share it in the comments. I will pick a number randomly based on my intuition. Mm. Okay, interesting. Frank chose the last number. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Tina. Anyone else who feels called to share a number, like, to pick a number and receive an intuitive reading? Okay, thank you, Keisha. Anyone else who wants to choose a number? Okay, then let's go with the numbers that are here. Okay, so the number that I felt called to was 99 by Tina. Thank you, Tina. So let's see what wants to come through page number 99. So, okay, let me see. I think this is a practice. Mm, yeah, so this is like a meditation practice, but I would read the guided part, the highlighted part. So, see yourself as sitting by the edge of a stream and just watching whatever is coming downstream. Sometimes there are sounds, sometimes sensations, sometimes thoughts and emotions. If nothing much is occurring, you can always come back to the anchor of the breath. If something painful is occurring, go with it rather than fighting it. Give difficult thoughts and emotions space to simply be. Stay with choiceless awareness for about 5 minutes. So, there's also a reflection on this practice. So, the author says, as you continue to practice this, you will come to see that life is a flow. The more you resist that flow, the more pain you will experience. So, this practice will also help you develop more equanimity and balance. So, even if you are experiencing storms of unworthiness, inadequacy, anxiety, sadness, anger, or confusion, you can let them be and acknowledge them. Like all other phenomena, these emotions come and go, and when you give them the space they need, they may subside more quickly. So that was the practice suggestion for you, Tina, that the universe have, which is to, just like I mentioned for Keisha before, we focused on one particular object of awareness, which was sound, but this practice is called choiceless awareness or like open monitoring, where you basically, sit, stand, lie down, whatever it is. So where you basically sit and then you allow everything to be a part of your awareness. You allow your mind to, to hold this particular thing in your awareness for a moment, and then when it wants to shift to something else, you let it shift to something else. But you are doing this, not automatically, not without awareness, but with awareness. You know that you are here with the sounds, and then you are noticing the thoughts, and now you're noticing the object in front of you, and then something else catches your attention and you stay with it, but with awareness, with knowing that you are aware of it, rather than just, letting your awareness go all the way. So, and what this does is that, just like you can notice the sound, similarly, you can also notice the emotion that you're having, even if it is a difficult emotion. You can, let it be there. You can let it arise in an experience and then eventually fade away, or let your attention drift from there to something else. So that becomes like all these other objects of awareness. And you learn that there is nothing to be afraid of in terms of connecting with your emotions or feeling your feelings, or, you know, becoming aware of your thoughts. You can just let them be there, arrive, and then pass away, just like you're sitting by a stream. You saw that thought, emotion coming down, it stays there for a while, and then it, drifts away. And, a more useful analogy, this was more of a calming analogy, but a useful one would be like you are sitting or standing at the edge of the road and there is a lot of traffic. There are bikes, for example, symbolizing your thoughts. There are cars symbolizing your emotions. There is cycle symbolizing your symbolizing the sounds. So there are all these different kind of vehicles, and they can come, they would be there in front of you in your field of vision for a while, and then they would leave eventually. And everything is like that. Everything is just part of a traffic, just part of your awareness, and there's nothing special about one thing. you can learn that they will be there and then they will go away. So, yeah, this is, one of the insights or one of the capacity that you develop from doing this choiceless awareness practice of mindfulness. So, that was the practice suggested for you, Tina, by the universe. So, maybe, yeah, give that a try. You can search for it on Insight Timer or anywhere else, wherever you prefer, and give it a try and see how, you know, what is the experience that wants to come up, that wants to become a part of your reality. And, the author also talked about not resisting the flow or learning to be with those emotions. So, if you need more help or more guidance regarding that, then I want to share a small resource here, which is this one: The Art of Acceptance, Finding Peace When Life Doesn't Go Your Way. So I have used a very, interactive exercise in that to help us understand resistance. And it is more like rooted in the therapeutic approach of ACT therapy. And then there is also a like whole lesson around how to process your emotions. So you can check it out if that is something that you need guidance on. Tina says, very beautiful. As you began to read, the rain started to come down. I'm sitting outside in the morning air. Wow, thank you, Tina, for painting such a beautiful image in our head. And maybe you can give that a try, give this practice a try. When you are in nature like this, one moment you are noticing the sound of the rain, the other moment you're feeling that air on your face or against your skin. So, like you would be fully present to truly savor that experience. That is another aspect of choiceless awareness, like another beautiful experience of it. So, yeah, maybe give that a try. Okay. So, okay, guys, so let's do one last reading for today and then we will wrap up this live. So, if you guys have anything that you need guidance on, hold that in your awareness. And now let us spin the wheel. Okay, a lot is coming up around being present, stillness. So today's book is the third book is The Here and Now Habit, A Guide to the Present Moment by Hugh G. Barney. I think he's also a teacher here. Maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, let's open this beautiful book and let's see. So give me a second to open the book and choose some numbers. So this is the beautiful book. And now let me open. Let me choose some numbers. So, my dear ones, I invite you guys to choose a number between 17 to 138. So, take your time, see which number comes up in your head, share it in the comments. I will choose a number randomly based on my intuition. So, here you go. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Keisha. I was just wondering, Caitlin, do you choose 131 a lot? I think so. Ah, just something that popped in my head. Okay, anyone else who wants to pick a number and receive an intuitive reading? Yeah, it is. You have told, you have mentioned it in the comments. Okay. Yeah, it's good. Mhm. Thank you, Priscilla, for sharing a number. Okay. Seems like everyone who wanted to share a number has done so. Kaden says 21 is a special favorite number as well, though. Okay, so, Frank's number. Hmm. Should we go with 21 then? Since two people like that number. I'm feeling called to another number as well. Okay, let me go with 21 and 83. So both Frank and Caitlin's number in a way, and Kimberly's number. Okay, so two special readings coming your way. So let's go with page number 21 first because it comes first. Okay. Mm, So, so the author says the heading is The Price We Pay for Unhealthy Habits. So, let's see. Yes, the part that I've highlighted here is even habits of distraction, like biting your nails or picking your fingers when you feel nervous or anxious, prevents you from being fully present for your life, experiencing the passing joys and sorrows in various moments. So that was a very tiny read there. That in case you are, or any one of us is using distraction, then, you know, what it does is that it robs us from being present, from being here and experiencing whatever it is we are trying to distract ourselves from. It can be something very unpleasant, like a very unpleasant emotion. It can be something slightly uncomfortable, like not very unpleasant, but a little uncomfort, like boredom. So it is not a very extreme emotion, but it is uncomfortable. And, you know, and we also miss out on the joys. So, for example, if you are, you know, always playing something in the background, or you are doing some chores while watching TV, or like a web series on your phone or iPad, whatever it is, then you are, also robbing yourself the chance to notice the small, miraculous little things that are here in your surroundings. And, you are missing the chance to be more peaceful, to practice stillness, and all of those different things. So you are robbing yourself the of knowing what this moment feels like, whether it brings unpleasantness, whether it brings a little discomfort, or whether it brings pleasantness, and you're missing on it because you're hooked to a certain distraction. So if you are, the universe is inviting you, all of us, to, you know, let go of that distraction and notice what is happening in this moment within you or outside of you. And with the unpleasantness or discomfort, you might learn that you have a capacity to hold all of it. You are so much bigger than it. Like, you know, not bigger, but like you are so much more spacious to hold any of it. And with the pleasantness, you might, it might bring a smile to your face. It might be a moment that you might write in your gratitude journal that, okay, I was grateful to witness this. For example, as I was drying clothes today, I in my balcony, I noticed, you know, I was like, okay, what is that? There was a teeny tiny like insect. Um, and then I looked at it closely. I was like, okay, it's a butterfly. So it was like a slightly unusual color. And when I noticed it, I was like, wow. And it brought a smile on my face for the whole duration. While if I was just, playing a podcast in the background while doing that, I would have not noticed it. So, just anecdote to share around this. So that was our reading. Frank says, I'm thinking of my habit of when listening to a bird song in nature rather than just hear and be with the beauty of their song. I have an urge to record the sound and task Google to identify the word. Ah, Frank, okay. Thank you so much for sharing this. And yeah, I can understand like your curiosity because we humans have this need as well to know more, and that's what made us grow also in a way. And it brought me back. Sorry, your comment brought me. I need to drink water. So yeah, your comment reminded me of what was mentioned in the first reading, which was dropping all the labels and the names. So like dropping the this this need to know that which particular bird is this or which particular this is that, instead of trying to name and label everything, we drop it, whether it is a plant or a bird, because some people do that. Like when they see a plant, they're like, okay, I want to know which plant is this. They quickly take out their phone, open that Google Lens or whatever it is, and then they click it and they're like, okay, and then read more about it instead of being with the plant. So maybe this is a reminder to give this a try. I'm glad that you are so open to it and that this resonated. And maybe, yeah, give that a try this week and see how it is like. So thank you, Frank, for sharing it. And maybe the reading one and this reading was for you indeed. Kimberly says, I was an I was a terrible habitual nail biter as a child to escape discomfort, I think. So now I need to practice just feeling the discomfort rather than escaping with constant podcasts or even constant insight timer. Yeah, as good is it? Everything is like has its good and bad sides, or helpful or unhelpful. I like those terms better. So, yeah, like maybe instead of having this goal of dropping the podcast or insight timer or anything else that you play in the background, Kimberly, you can maybe decide that I would not do that while when I usually do it for this amount of time, like for the next 10 minutes, I'm not going to use any of those in the background, and I'm going to stay with the experience. So instead of giving yourself the aim to not do it at all, because it is very scary for your brain to just give it, like it is hard for your brain to give it up. So just set a small goal, like for the next 5 minutes or for the next 10 minutes or once a day, I'm not going to do that, and see how that feels like. And if it feels good, you would feel like doing that more. So set a very small goal, even 2 minutes walk, so whatever feels good to you. And thank you for sharing that with all of us. It's a very um, common habit to, bite our nails when you're feeling anxious or discomfort. And I'm glad that, that habit uh, is not, a part of your habits anymore. I sometimes run out of words, but yeah, so that was like one of the ways that your child self used to cope with discomfort, anxiety, whatever that was. And because that's what it knew then, right? That was the only tool resource available at that moment. And as child, we don't have a lot of resources available until someone has taught us those. We have observed people, using some other helpful tools. So it's okay what you did when you did. And now that you are more of an adult, you can, learn more resources to cope better, to regulate yourself. So thank you for your share, Kimberly. And before I move on to the next comment, there is something that is popping up for me in my mind for Kimberly, which is that in case you need help, only in that case, then I do have a resource for you. I have a lot of resources, and I'm glad I do because then, when I'm like, okay, I wish I had this, and when I have it, I'm like, okay, it's nice. I can share it now. So, dear Kimberly, if you need some help, if you want to learn more tools to regulate yourself in those moments of discomfort, or even in extreme unpleasantness, then you can you can go to my profile, go to the home section there, and when you scroll down, you will see a playlist section just below. Like, there is a group just below, just above, sorry, it. You will see there is a playlist called Nervous System Regulation Techniques. So there are currently 17 techniques here, but I'm going to add a total of 100 techniques here for every single situation, every single, feeling that people have that they need regulation regarding. So you can check it out and give some of those a try and see if a particular tool resonates with you. So you can use that anytime you are feeling that discomfort, and that can help you bring down the intensity so that now you can be with that emotion, be with that feeling, so that it is not too overwhelming to feel those feelings. So that's how, so you can use these tools to signal safety to your nervous system that it is okay. I am not in a very dangerous or threatful situation, because that's what your brain thinks. So yeah, you can check out this resource if it resonates, and I can share like the latest one here so that you can, start with that. So you can go with this one. Okay, and now moving to Caitlin's comment, which is Frank. Marlin from the shops is a great resource for this. It tells you which birds are around by using the mic. Caitlin, now in this case, you are an enabler. Caitlin is enabling this habit of prank. But it's okay, yeah. You can, like, it's again, as I said with Kimberly, it's not that the universe is asking you to stop it completely. So thank you, Caitlin, for sharing this amazing, amazing resource with Frank. And okay, let's see. Frank says, Caitlin, yes, I do use the Merlin app as well. Often by the time I get it set up to record, the bird stops singing. So the birds want you to appreciate the song, not the app, seems like. So yeah, Frank, maybe, think as if the birds are singing just for you to listen, to appreciate, to savor, you know, this experience and see how that feels like. And when that urge comes up, that I want to, you know, just look the name of the bird. It is really beautiful. The song is amazing. It is so melodious. I really want to look it up. Which bird is it? I've never heard it. So when that kind of an urge starts to build up, a small resource for Frank. Let's see, let's see. Okay, I don't have it here, but there's a track on my profile called Urge Surfing. So you can check that out. for you or for anyone who, feels like they are having this impulse or urge to engage in a habit that do not serve them, that is unhelpful, that they're trying to get rid of. And you can find it again in the playlist section, which I showed you. There is a playlist called Therapy Tools and Techniques. So there you will find, that urge surfing. Yeah, urge surfing for cravings track. So that might help you learn how to be with those urges without letting them control you. And if you don't need it, if you really want to continue doing it, that's okay. I'm just laying out all the tools out there for you. Caitlin says, no, what you do, you take your nature time with the apps on, you stay present with the moment, and then check afterwards to see if you actually heard them. Gotta be prepared. Okay, that's good. So Caitlin is incorporating both of these things. Good. Caitlin says, ladies of a certain age love this app, and this is the game they play with themselves. So thank you, Caitlin, for sharing this wonderful app with Frank and anyone else who is interested in that. Okay, guys. So I guess, okay, so what I want to ask is, Kimberly, do you want me to go? Okay, I think I missed one comment by Keisha. Keisha said that wonderful readings that really resonated. Thank you. Much love and blessings. Thank you, Keisha, for joining us if you're still here. And thank you for joining, for being a part of this space. I'm glad the readings resonated with you. So, yeah, I was asking Kimberly that do you want us to go with, your number, which is 83, or do you feel like you received the message that, N- okay, okay, let's go with let's go with 83 then, and then we will wrap. Okay, wrap up. Okay, so let's see what wants to come through page number 83. So the heading was harnessing the power of attention. And after I drink, I will read the reading. So there is like a story, and the highlighted part of that from that story is he learned that even the most difficult emotions lasted for only a time, and that it was possible to ride even intense waves of sensations and emotion. I learned that I could let myself feel what I am feeling. Sometimes it felt like my whole body was going to explode, but I learned that I could stay. I really believe this practice has rewired my brain. I can feel pain and be with it in a different way. So that was the message for you, Kimberly. Let me know if it resonated. And now I know why I felt complete before even reading this message. Because I think I already shared the resource that was around it, that how you can ride the waves, be with the emotions. Kimberly says, like emotion surfing. Yeah, exactly, like that. So the practice that I shared a moment ago, which was called urge surfing. So that is what, fully resonates with this reading, like how you can surf those emotions, ride the waves, how you can learn to be with those emotions in a different way, without letting them overwhelm you, without letting them consume you, or without you ignoring them. You can learn to be with them. So that practice might help you, see what that feels like. So whether it is an urge, a sensation, a emotion, all of these different aspects of your experience um, can be fitted into that practice that I shared, which was urge surfing. So you can look it up. And, you know, I think I also had, if you don't have like premium, you can check out for the practice mindfulness of pain. So I recently released that, meditation. And that is also something that can give you a similar insight that you can stay with a difficult sensation and have a different relationship with it without letting it consume you. So you can check that out as well. Um, and then I also already shared another resource, which was like this acceptance course. I mentioned that there is one, the last lesson of this course help you, you know, process your feelings all the way through. So, yeah, these were all the three resources. And instead of me explaining that, you know, why I'm sharing these is because it would be a different level of understanding when you experience it firsthand, that what it feels like to ride the wave, what it feels like to be with those feelings, feel those feelings, and to develop a different relationship with them. So, yeah, you can give that a try. Uh, and yeah, Kimberly says, perfect. I will check those resources. Much gratitude to you today. Thank you, Kimberly. I'm glad that the reading and the resources, resonated with some part of you. And I'm glad to have you here today. It was really nice having you here. Now, guys, it is time for us to end this live. And I hope you guys gained something, you know, valuable from this live, whether it was the readings, the practice that we did around sleep today, or simply the energy or the conversation. And if you did, then and if you feel called to support my work to help me continue doing these lives, then you can do so by making a small donation, because every contribution you make helps me create more and more resources and to continue, doing these lives. And if you can't donate, but you still want to support my work, then there is a very simple way to support my work, which is to listen to my content. I have like a lot of resources available. So it would be lovely if you guys can just take a moment from your time and explore them. I've organized all of them for you in two places. The first is this like playlist section on my profile. So we have like mindfulness meditation challenge, nervous system regulation techniques, some random techniques with a game, and little reminders for you. This is for like specific negative thoughts that people have. So like 5-minute tracks for them to make them feel reassured and hopeful. So like for thoughts like I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, I can't do this. What if I make the wrong decision? So yeah, thoughts like that. And then finally, therapy tools and techniques. So I'm adding more and more tools here. And in this particular, little reminders and regulation techniques, I'm actively adding more and more resources in this section, because I feel like, if we covered these, then life would be more uh, filled with ease for a lot of people. So, yeah, you can check this section out, or you can check out my courses. I have like 7 courses. So you can explore them and see if anyone resonates with you. They're around negative thoughts, limiting beliefs, mindfulness, and other related aspects of mindfulness like acceptance, beginner's mind, and stuff like that. So, yeah, if you want to support my work, you can listen to them, share it with your friends, with anyone that you feel like, this would make their life a little easier. So that's it for this live. Priscilla says, thank you, Anisha. Always such a pleasure. Same here. Thank you for staying till the end. It was lovely seeing you here. Mary says, I did. Thank you so much. Love to all. Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much, dear. It was lovely having you here again. Frank says, I look forward to spending more time with the resources you offer here. Thank you for this work you are doing. Namaste. Thank you, Frank, for choosing to spend your time, exploring through them. I appreciate it. I really do. And I hope that you find something helpful in there. Thank you. Caitlin says, love our time together. So do I. So do I. Thank you, Caitlin, for tuning, in at a different time and for, trying to accommodate my other time, like that I was doing lives on. So I appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Kimberly, for the support. I am really glad that something from the space resonated with you and that you chose to open your heart and share your love. Know that this particular beautiful energy that you're sending my way is going to be poured in to everything that I create. So thank you for, offering this beautiful energy to me. I appreciate it. Bye. I bow down to the divine within all of you. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you live with ease. I will see you guys day after tomorrow at the same time as this live started, or maybe 3 hours before that. Not sure yet. I'm trying my best. So, yeah, hope to see you day after tomorrow at some time. Tina says, beautiful spirit you have and the messages. Blessings to you. Thank you, Tina. That is so sweet of you. I hope to see you again soon. Till then, take care. Bye.